welcome to episode 3 of Agents of Clix. With me today, as always, are Christopher Dunn and Dale DeAndrade. Hello guys, how are you?
Hello, I'm okay.
I am fine too.
Good. What have you been up to since we last spoke on the podcast? You been playing much Clix?
One more Skype game with Chris. I think I rolled two dice to decide who went first. I think
Were you
that was
going
it.
up against Faust by any chance?
No, it was
No?
Mr. Mixit.
Yeah.
So it was 2 tokens all the time. Fun and engaging gameplay.
Well, the last 2 games we've played, basically only one person has played a game, the other person's just observed.
Pretty much.
Yeah, Mixie will do that, do you?
Yeah.
So are you all ready for the upcoming WKOs then?
No.
No? Not long.
Yeah, I'm sort of like still not 100% decided on what team I'm playing. I've got a few ideas, but I don't know. Not 100%.
That's what happens when you have every model in the game.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm sticking with my Batsoups team.
He's a good team.
Yeah. I've had a good few games with him. Slight variation to what I played at the last WKOs at the back end of last year, but yeah, he's doing this quite well. But before we do anything else, can I just I said I was going to do this. Can I just issue a formal apology to my teammate Ant? He's the guy who's playing the Brimstone robot team.
Okay.
I may have said in the last episode that it's not a team you need to worry about and you can just ignore Metallo. Yeah, you kind of discount them altogether because I played them last week and I suffered because I thought I could ignore Metallo and turns out I can't. And he actually beat me, so I just want to formally apologise to Ant now and just say, yeah, it's a good team. He got me in a position where he put Batsoups on to his stop click and he didn't KO Batsoups, but he took enough points off me so that it meant I had to kill Metallo, and unfortunately time did not allow that. So so apologies to Ant and well played, and it's a good team.
Do like that Metallo.
I just wanted to get in there and just say that because he'd listened to the episode and we played a game pretty much the day after he listened to the episode, and I think he was on a mission to prove a point. And he did.
Well,
so
can't say anything else other than that. I mean,
nope.
I do like that Metallo. I mean, picking standard attack power or just having +1 to all your stats when his stats are already pretty good anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
he just needs some way to get into the fight really with his short range.
Yeah, just a TK do.
That shape change invincible is just nasty.
You can outwit him
19 defense. You can.
You can, yes. Yeah.
I will ask. I promise I will one day play and find a way of making a good Metallo team or a good Amazo team. I've been pushing to try and make Amazo not terrible for 2 years now, and I can't get it to work.
Amazo's one of Matty's favourites. Matty, my son, he loves playing Amazo, fun games in the house and stuff, and he keeps saying to me, he's the best. He's the best, Dad. He's the best, and I'm like, he's not, son. He's not. But he won't have it.
He was my next choice after I tried desperately to make Composite Superman work, and since Composite Superman has now been crippled to the fact that I think there's like 4 people he can take powers from, and one of them's Jimmy Olsen. He's not getting any play at the moment. Fingers crossed for the future, though. Come on.
Yeah, well, you never know. Anyway, that's enough about what we've been playing. There's been a couple of Deadpool spoilers and of course the start of the WKOs, so quite a bit to discuss in the news section. So without further ado, Dale, what have you got for us first this
Okay,
week?
so we've got the 8 teams from the US, and we've got the majority of them fall into the standard format of a Quinjet team, a Jakeem team, there's one unkillable team, and a couple of slightly out there ones with a Red Sun Wonder Woman team and a Felix Faust as a tentpole team, which I think is relatively interesting. Rather than list them all out, we'll post an image of the teams on our Facebook site and online if you want to go and quickly check. There's also the forum that's always being updated at HC Realms. But Chris, have you got a favourite team amongst the list?
Well, I don't know if I've got a favourite team, but I'll just talk about this one. I think there's one Ricky Kirk is down to win in Rochester, New York. It's basically an Undying team. I'm not a big fan of them, but I think it's interesting what he's done. So he's got Resurrection Man, Dead Man, and he's using the Ha 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 Joker, and a full Pandora's box. So he's basically swapping out where people have played Mystique and maybe Dupe, tried that out. And I think that Joker is just so much better than them. If your whole point is I'm not going to give away any points and I'm going to try and get a few points off you, I think that Joker just does a lot more. The Mystique is just so hard to get points off. 50 points, he's got at least. You get 6 clicks for each escape token, don't you? He's got 5 escape tokens.
Pretty much.
That's at least 30 clicks alive. Plus he heals himself. He can either damage himself or heal himself. Well, he can if he wants to at the start of his turn. You just got to be careful that you don't take yourself over one of the lines. So at the very least you've got 30 clicks alive, and I don't see how you're going to kill him unless you get ridiculously lucky. So you're never going to get rid of Resurrection Dead Man, so you're going to score maximum like 20-30 points. So some teams you'll just, the Quinjet team would absolutely hate to play against him, for example.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I stand on the thing with the Joker. Yeah, in that team he is an amazing anchor for Resurrection Man and Dead Man to never not be able to come back. And he is better as far as I'm concerned than Mystique. Doesn't necessarily do the same job, but I mean, Mystique, as tough as she is to hit for a lot of teams, you have to think about that because Lex is about, so almost everyone's running a pulse wave to get through it, and if you can get through it and kill her, she's a relatively easy 60 points. And it is a one turn she's gone. Joker it's going to be a bit of a longer game, and yes, you are going to bleed out 10 points here or there, but against most teams it's not going to be that hard to take 20, 30, 40 points from somebody, and then they're going to have to really kill the Joker or lose.
Yeah, I think it's preying upon people who rely on ID cards as well, or like really cheap, because realistically they can probably kill a drone, for example. If you're running some drones, it's realistic. They've got a full Pandora's box as well, so by the time after 7 turns, you're gonna get everybody's got these funky powers and that. So yeah, I would not like to play against that unless I'm playing like a team that really doesn't give away points as well. Right, that's my pick then.
Yeah, Sean, have you got a pick that you think is the intriguing one for you?
Yeah, I mean, I quite like the team that was played by Tom Hutton from Omaha. I believe some of these matches were actually streamed via Twitch and are on their YouTube channel. He played a Jakeem Thunder with Eclipso equipped, a Bizarro Green Arrow, Casey Spectre, and 25-point Solaris. Playing Spectre on the 35-point line as well, with a 2-Sin Pandora's Box and a Shield level 7 ID card. I mean, I'm assuming he was playing Wrath and Sloth, so Wrath would obviously go on Jakeem to give him willpower. I think he put Sloth on Bizarro Green Arrow as well, so that once he hit those stop clicks, he could just heal back off them again. The matches because I've watched a couple of the matches that he had, and it was a really effective team. It really sort of caught my eye, and the use of Solaris for that Colossal Retaliation with the tokens and the 10 range outwit as well. Really, really good. I don't know. What do you think? What was there any team that leapt out for you?
For me, I think the fun one is the Red Sun Wonder Woman. I've liked her for a while. I think it's the trait that's the key. She's obviously just a hypersonic tentpole, Back to the full team, it's Red Sun Wonder Woman at a full dial, 50 point Bizarro Green Arrow, 30 point One Bad Day Ha 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 Joker, the full Pandora's Box, and 3 ID cards, which went for level 7 for Nick Fury, a Green Arrow, and a Spider-Man ID card using the Superior Spider-Man, and it's the gravity feed Green Arrow if anyone needs to know. It's essentially everyone's cheaper than Red Sun Wonder Woman, so she minuses every attack and damage by 1 for it. Bizarro Green Arrow gets carried around and does exactly the same thing, so that with his reverse range combat expert, he's going to have a sloth inevitably, and probably an energy shield deflection, or have another sin as well about halfway through the dial. He's going to be really hard to hurt because he's getting -3 to attack, -3 to damage, or -2 and 2. No, right, it's -2 and 2, or -3 and 1, or 3 and the other.
Yeah, of course, because if she's targeted at range, he becomes the legal target, so therefore
she's not being targeted, so
a
trigger thing comes in.
Yeah, not going to damage them at range. You need to punch them, and she's got a decent range for Sonic. So.
She does, and she's going to have sidestep, and she's going to I think she has 19 defense on that first click anyway, with and vulnerable.
And you put a relic on her to give her combat reflexes.
I think you'd probably put the lust relic on Joker. Do you think, to try and tie people up?
I think myself, I'd probably put lust on Wonder Woman. Although maybe you can mix and match, kind of, depending on the team.
Yeah, but that Joker would be a good tie-up piece. The 30.1.
He does get plasticity, like I think on click 3, doesn't he?
Yeah.
As well. So,
but obviously plasticity and then combat reflexes. So he makes it that much harder to hit. And then he's giving you
Wonder
Woman is then giving you a -1 to attack him as well.
And
he's playing a full box, so eventually he's going to have more than one on, aren't you? So.
Yeah, it's a rough team. Again, another one I wouldn't like to face, and can't see something off the top of my head. I just really like that Wonder Woman. She is quite often, if I'm playing the Quinjet, my card I put on as I hope I can get this high, especially if I'm playing a small Quinjet, because almost everything on the team is going to be less than 125, and I try and get her out as a real girl, keep her on the team, and just have her as a perplexing -1 to all of your attack and damage values against me. I like the Superior Spider-Man ID card as well. That's one we don't see too often because it's more than 120 points, but it's hard to deny that he is a really good charge flurry piece.
Yeah.
But apart from that,
is he that much better than Nightwing? What's his stats? Is he slightly better stats?
He has.
Oh, he's got super strength. That's why
he's got the super strength.
He's got a higher damage output. Yeah.
Potentially, yeah, and he has probability control built in as well.
Yeah.
And -1 modifiers. He has some improved movement for characters as well, which is key. And when he hits somebody, he gets the spiderweb marker to lock you down. He has a lot going for him as a 125 point piece. Just want to point out, I know no one's going to listen or use it, but there is a drone that can call him in. The Colossal
Giant,
Ultron 7, the Giant, sorry, Ultron 7. It's actually 125 points when he's drone mode. If anyone cares, that's a fun tidbit for you. I used to use him to try and call in Cersei back when everybody was just playing a battery, because her coming out to do 1 damage when you reverse all of your modified is just be mint. If you have like an entity on yourself, got +1 to everything, +1 to defense. Actually, you've got -2 to everything, and I'll kill you for loads of damage. This was way back when. Is there anything else that we want to point out? Any other interesting, not necessarily full team, but little use of something that we weren't expecting in the US one? Anyone could point out? I'll have an the only one I really have out to shout out is the fact that Paris Gordon managed to win using the Wizard.
Yeah.
I love the Wizard. Camp scene is obviously meta and strong, and tigers are always fun. But
he's got that it's a mystical team he's playing, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's gone for the theme. I mean, I'd had luck myself. I quite like the option of it. I also like the hat. I feel like he'll never get the love he deserves. But I'd also have looked at some of the KC chases, Green Lantern and Spectre. A reroll and a Perplex that doesn't need line of sight is pretty strong, and if they do manage to kill him, you get a nice little piece at the end. But obviously that's due to availability, and he's obviously done well with it, so can't. Who am I to lecture him?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll move on to the UK teams. Our first Weekly's Open over here, and a bit more of an in-depth look since that's more closer to home.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So the winning team for that, a full Quinjet, 45 points with the resource, a Protelock, the 45-point Morlock with a Proteus on it, 15-point Henry, and two 30-point drones, one Ultron 6 and one Ultron 8, and then 7 ID cards, which was the Green Lantern, level 7, Hawkeye, the Atom, Nightwing, Green Arrow, and Captain America. I think it's safe to say all of those are quite obvious which version are being on there. The little Green Lantern from the Joker's Wild set. This would be Nick Fury and everything on level 7, although I imagine he probably also tried putting in, I had on his sidelines, he has some spare spots, he'll probably put in Peggy, maybe somebody else, is there any other Shield character?
Yeah, I think he had two Hawkeyes on his sideline as well.
So it was probably Peggy and Nick, and then
75 and then 94 point.
Yeah, and then there's the Atom, the Hawkeye there, were you saying it was the Civil War?
He played, I think, the Age of Ultron, it was I think it was the 75-point one.
I imagine so.
He's got the two movie ones on, I think. Is it the...
Yeah, and the 94.
No, it's not. It's the 85.1, whichever one that one. I can't see which set it's from.
It's from Civil War. The 96.1, the higher end one, for the rare one from the Age of Ultron movie, is great, but he's the one who takes tokens off himself at the choice of the opponent, so of course you don't do that if he's an ID card. But the other Hawkeye just he shoots tiny people, -1 when he hits somebody with a ranged combat attack, and then he's got 11 attack with ranged combat expert and 3 damage, so he's just a general hard hitter. Then Nightwing will be the 100-point one, Green Arrow will be the 135-point gravity feed, and then Captain America is probably the 50-point one, I imagine, to give the free action of the Quinjet. There is other attacky Captain Americas, but I don't imagine that being the case. He probably wants a real boy version of him. Mm-hmm. And in the final, he beat a KC Flash with Calypso, Bizarro, and Atom ID card, a Lex ID card, and a box with Sloth and Lust on it.
Yeah, I think that's second place is Stuart Kenwood, who won the WKO. Was it in Brighton? I think they had one on the South Coast. That was like end of last year. He won with a similar, because I think he was playing same team, apart from he played Ant-Man instead of Bizarro Green Arrow.
Yeah, he did.
See, this one, I like this one better with Bizarro Green Arrow than Ant-Man. I loved Ant-Man, but I think the Bizarro Green Arrow just keeps Flash a lot safer.
Yeah.
He hasn't sneaked in Ant-Man ID, just on the off chance that there was like a lot of plasticity around. So I think he just crossed his fingers that he wouldn't come across something that he couldn't hypersonic. I don't think there was anything in the top in the other. I mean, apart from people putting the Lust Relic on, I think that's one of the. If you've got your main attacker and you suddenly go, ooh, you've got KC Flash, I'm gonna protect myself by giving myself plasticity.
Yeah, it's strong. I think in the majority of cases, especially having looked at the top 8, I think the majority of cases he's able to pick off something that he wants to kill and just win the game off that. If he's got plasticity, it's quite hard to cover your whole team, especially when he's got 20 something movement or 17. He's gonna go where he wants and kill who he feels like. The Lex ID, was it just to have Bizarro Green Arrow pop out the 45-point one for the Perplex, Outwit and Probability Control?
No, he's got the Fast Forces one for the TK and Perplex.
Yeah, that makes more sense. If he needs the extra movement, he's got it. There you go.
And it's just.
I imagine he could probably have both because he has enough options in the sideline.
No, wait a minute. I'm looking at the wrong army list. I don't know on that one. No,
really
it just
make
says
out.
Lex
You
Luthor.
can't really
I
make
would
an
give him the
opinion.
TK, to be honest with you, if it was me, rather than for the extra prob, because I think he's already got prob.
It's the Flash, he's got it.
I think he'd want the TK. Yeah. I'm just looking at it. We've got the pictures of army lists, but then we haven't got the full image. So some things are like missed off, but at a guess, I would be putting the TK one on.
I imagine he's probably thought of it and had. I imagine he's.
Well, you could
Yeah,
put both on.
I
and then
assume he would
just
have had
see-
both. He has the
yeah.
space,
Yeah.
and if he has against a team where he just doesn't need the extra movement, just go for the extra. Here's one power action on a character who's never going to do an action anyway. Here is the 3 best support powers that you have to have all in one character.
Yeah, I do
It's
like
not-
both those Lexes. They're fantastic for their points.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, apart from that, has anyone got a favourite amongst the top 8 that wasn't the first and second team? Any other, or at least an interesting character or something that jumped out?
Yeah, I like what jumped out for me was the team that was three Clarions, an Ace the Bat Hound, and 2 Titanos, and the Colossal Retaliation
An animal theme.
point. An animal.
I
theme,
have just
yeah.
realised that is the whole team. There's no IDs. There's no.
There's no IDs.
No relic.
There's no resource. There's no, and I believe he
Wow.
got number 6, top 6.
That,
Okay.
Yeah, I think it shows here that I think it's something we discussed before we came on air, that if you're trying, you probably would think, well, that's not going to win you a reasonably large event, but what it will do is it will scare the bejesus out of some teams and it'll get you points. It'll be unlikely that you're not going to score some points. So I think just looking at the win-loss records, and that was Andrew Davidson playing that team.
It was
yeah,
Andrew
so he's got
Davidson,
2
yeah.
wins, 2 losses, but then that's obviously got him through to the cut, because he's got 2 wins where he tabled the other player. So you've got like 3 perplexes, you've got 3 probs, you've got Ace of Battown having another perplex. So or any of those little tickles or the Clarions could be hitting you very hard, and you've got some Titanos following up. That can do a lot of damage. You've got to be very careful against that.
it's like the old Blue Lanterns,
there's
isn't it? Where it was lots. It's like everyone just all of a sudden you're giving everyone perplex. It would be if you were playing a large team, you would go for the Blue Lantern because the perplex turns all of a sudden everyone into a threat if you've got enough of them.
Yeah, and 3 probs there with Clarion,
Yeah, you're not going to miss very
and then
often.
3 perplexes with Tickle. You're not going to miss.
I think
it,
Titano is like a figure I like, but it's he suffers from comparison to the other retaliators really, with like his 10 attack. But if you've got 3 probs, potentially 4 probs with Ace of Battown,
potentially 4, yeah,
then,
with Ace, yeah.
then that 10 attack looks a lot better. So
And you attack twice, and does he
does 3 damage each time.
does 3 damage each time? So it's not even. You don't start suffering from damage reduction or anything. He's nice. He's fun, and obviously it's animal theme, so you're getting your map almost all the time when you've got +6. I mean, there's a couple of theme teams in here, but you're not looking at more than 2 or 3 for most occasions. So if you can pick your map well, there you go. Chris, have you got one that jumps out at you, or at least a model that catches you?
Well, just to say that we had a couple of overseas visitors, or at least the event did. We had Patricia Lamb and Nick Peterson. I think they were coming from Canada. I think Patricia lives in Canada now. I know I met her when at the European Championships. This was a few years ago. She came over then. I think they'd come over on the holidays. So Patricia had got 3rd place with a Quinjet Zara Green Arrow team, but Nick, I do believe, is part of the team that designed Devil Dinosaur. He was playing a double Con Loki team with Brainiac and Eclipso, Pandora's Box, and 2 relics on. I know that some teams would just really, really struggle against Loki. I'm not sure if we've got his matchup to see who he lost against. Where's he?
Yeah, he is a hard one to pin down, isn't he?
He's lost against Patricia and Will. Lost against Will twice. What's Will was playing? Will was playing like a Mary Marvel, Mixie-Plick team. See, I saw that and I thought, well, Mixie-Plix is really not doing anything in that matchup because you can't draw lines of fire to either of those Con Lokis because you need to be 150 points or have the mystical keyword. So, and not being able to draw lines of fire stops Pulse Wave. So Mary Marvel must have done all the work in that match, I think, against she must have got lucky, get through his Impervious, Shape Change, and Super Senses. And the Lokis would have.
I think that team is one of those teams where maybe it was discovered a bit late. I think if it was maybe a set or two earlier, and people were, he started using that would have been a really hard team to beat. Now there's a lot of meta mystic people, and there's a couple of deities out there.
I think, to be honest, there's not a huge amount of mystical people. I think now it might fall off favour because you've got Jakeem Thunder, who is a big predator there against him. I mean, you've probably got things up against like a Lex team, because all of his call lanes are going to be over 100, 150 more than likely. So you might not want to see Lex. But against some teams, like a normal Quinjet team or something, they would struggle because they wouldn't be able to be range attacking. Any sort of charge characters you've got have then got to go through all his defences, really.
Yeah, and he's got Shape Change, Super Senses, 18 defence in his first click, and probably to control against himself.
They'll have Impervious as well, because he's got Calypso and Brainiac. So you'll generally be picking that.
They're going to be pretty tough to get through.
And he's got he's got combat reflexes on both of them with Lust and Wrath.
That is horrendous. That is nasty. But of course, someone has managed to beat it. We've got through that. I think for me, the big jump out one is probably Nathaniel and the Spider-Man Noir in his team. He's been playing the Doctor Strange with Eclipso and the I'll get my words up.
Midnight Suns.
I assume so, though it's not written on the one version I've got here, but I imagine it must have been.
He did. Yeah, he played Midnight Suns ATA.
And then of course, and Spider-Man takes it. He's also Mystic to make a theme team and has an outwit on there, which is I think pretty much all he's there for, to finish the team off, be unhittable, and I don't know. Apart from that, just Doctor Strange being Doctor Strange. He's got a box with 6 relics. Is that 5 relics?
Yeah, I think he maybe missed it trickier because you can't actually assign more than 2.
5.
Because he's only got you have to assign 3. I would have been tempted to play Nightwing
just for
one
the pog
of his cards, just for the pog, so I could actually get the rest of the relics down. Because I'm supposed he's struggling to find anything to spend the points on, really. So at least for playing the relics, you've got your choice of which ones you want to put on.
It's generally the same each time you play. Any time the kind of top end meta teams that use that Doctor Strange, it's always the case where you're left with some points at the end because it's
you just can't spend them on anything else.
It's generally that he just teams up with his D20 buddy of Felix Faust, and once you've done that and you've assigned them with everything you can possibly find, you're left with about 10 points with not much to do with it. So it's a case of some spare relics, I suppose.
Yeah,
it gives you options, I guess. But
how many points did he have left over on that? Because he had I can't see his points.
100,
250,
175, 250.
Not that many.
260.
12. Yeah, you can't really do anything.
Yeah, there's really not much you can do. Did you say there was 12 points spare?
I'm not sure if exactly 12 is it.
It's 12.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
No, it's
13, I think.
it's not. The
Yeah.
13 there is something you can fit in, but I don't think his team would have worked half as well if he'd put in a cat.
I think he only had 4 points
Yeah,
spare.
I imagine so. Otherwise, he'd have put.
He has to pay for the ATA as well.
I
Yeah,
imagine he's probably got.
You could have just put like 2 relics on, because they're the only you can only assign 2 relics, and then you'd have 3 relics left over because you can't assign them to anybody. It just gives you options, but yeah, I don't know what else you could have put on there.
I think the options is better than putting a black cat on your team, which I think is probably the only other thing he's going to squeeze into that list. But yeah,
that would just be giving away points though then, really.
Yeah, and I think the last bit of news. No, there's 2 more. We've got the Deadpool spoilers. Although there is a video out which I haven't finished yet, so there's actually 10 spoilers in there that I can't say I can see or discuss. But there was the 2, the Stingrays. Unless anyone's, it's an odd one. It's essentially an A and B are both Stingray, they're both the same character and an identical dial. It's just your choice of which trait you want, I think, if I've read this correctly. And I suppose keywords come into it as well.
Yeah, it's just the trait and the keywords, I think, and obviously it depends which sculpt you like, but they're an A and B, so I think they're probably going to do all of the Mercs for money as A and B variants, maybe it's in a different like outfits, more than likely.
It'll
probably have like the different trait, different keywords. So
it looks like it's the Deadpool, because the Deadpool corpse is the keyword they get extra. Maybe that's the keyword that the extra one that the Bs come with.
Well, looking at, I mean, I've watched that video that was released today, the Scott Porter unboxing video, and all of the Mercs for money, they actually have the Heroes for Hire keyword. But in terms of this, I think you're right. I think it is that just that extra keyword that.
So I was thinking the majority of them are going to be the Mercs for money with a B side, which is the Deadpool corpse version, which has. By the looks of it, identical dial, just a different sculpt, the Deadpool corpse keyword, and you swap out the Mercs for money trait, which looks like it's going to be for everyone. If a friendly character with hero for hire keyword is KO'd, you heal the character 1. It's just like, that's going to be alright if you're playing a full team of it. You kill one guy and the whole team just gets back up again. The other one is the I'm the Deadpool brand mercenary you hire. I'm assuming that's the essentially the same thing, the Mercs for Mouse, but the Mercs for Money, but the Deadpool corpse version of them. And his is that once per action for all characters with the trait, when another friendly character with the Deadpool corpse keyword would be KO'd, you may instead turn that character to its last non-KO click, then heal it 3. If you do, you KO one other figure with that trait. I'm assuming this is meant to be you just kill off every other character to keep Deadpool alive. Is that I imagine that's probably the idea behind it. Having heard of as I did get a little bit through the thing, the way he was describing the common Deadpool with swords and flurry.
Yeah.
I'm already thinking that this Deadpool, shifting focus Deadpool, is going to be a pretty strong one. I'm already thinking to phase 1, I'll free action phase, I'll turn to a sword one, and I'll slice it to pieces. And that's just with 2 of them. Yes.
Yeah, I mean there was some good some good pieces in the video
this is Scott Porter's like unboxing video number 1. Yes, so that's starting to come up. So I imagine it'll do that.
Yeah.
Do they do it every day or just every week?
They're doing one a day.
Week.
Like 2 boosters a day. They're opening with what appears to be a reveal of one of the chasers every day. So what I was going to say was that what stood out for me was the common Wolverine for 70 points. That is 9 clicks long, and that is just.
Haven't we mentioned this before? Wasn't this our first the new thing? It's 75 points. Well, here's 9 clicks of life.
Yeah, 9 clicks of life though for 70 points.
I think it's the new way of allowing them to make wild, strange characters, because they can be 70 points and be something like 75 points, 100 points, and be in that kind of 4-5 click range. And then you look at the character who's a more standard, straightforward thing, but then they're alright because they've got enough life that it's not going to be a one-hit kill or a two-hit kill. It might be or 2 or 3. The last in there. The last in there. I've just realised I completely forgot. There actually is 2 other spoilers, wasn't there? There was Negasonic, Teenage Warhead, and Swarm as well.
Yeah,
there was.
What do you think of Swarm? I'm gonna have to put this out there. I don't want to say what I think first.
He's fine until he runs across somebody with pulse wave, and then he dies.
Yeah.
You can't ignore that. It can't be. Well, it can be ignored, is what I'm trying to say. Yes. So he's quite expensive as well, but he's like one of these guys who you just take 1 click of damage a time. But it's a trait, so you can't like use like Nick Fury or something to turn it off, but you can't pulse wave him. And I think he's just too expensive.
Yeah, that was basically my takeaway from him. I mean, if it was you can only ever take 1 damage and it's unignorable, then that would have been amazing.
Yeah.
I understand what they were going for with the roll a double and you can ignore it, but I think with the defense as low as it is, it kind of it's just not going to work at 120 points. It's cute, it's funny. The beads that they make are not bad for free. It's a free poison mini character. Why not?
But he needs to hit people. He needs to hit to actually generate them.
And 10 attack isn't spectacular.
Yeah.
You know what? It's cute, but I don't think it's going to see a huge amount of play.
Well, he has got double target, so he could potentially, if he could do something weird around giving him more targets and get loads of bystanders out, and you avoid people with pulse wave. But still, he's a big chunkier team. So not for me.
And then going on to Negasonic Teenage Warhead, not the one from the movie who explodes, because it makes more sense with the name, but the precognitive replacement for Destiny, I suppose. If you look at the dial, that's very much what it feels like. It's Super Sensei's probability control with a twist that she has mind control as well. And if she successfully mind controls you, she gets to outwit that person as well, regardless of range or line of fire. So once she's mind controlled you, doesn't matter if she then makes you run on the corner or whatever, she can still outwit you. Ignores characters in elevation for movement. Again, I'm not going to see high-end play, but it's nice, and I imagine there's probably going to be a Hellfire Club team of 6 things that make a nice 650 point, that 300 point team out of that kind of thing, akin to like the Giant Size X-Men from Giant Size X-Men.
Yeah, I mean, she'll be nice and sealed, I imagine. We're having Prob and some outwit. But yeah, she doesn't do. She's too expensive for just like say putting Prob control on your team.
And there's one that I've just spotted, which I'm assuming is the chase that was mentioned at the very end of it. Venom Pool,
yeah, he was the chase.
That is a long and powerful dial for 80 points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you can do funky things like turn off people's prob control for the rest of the game.
You use it once and that is it.
You can.
Wow.
We don't know what these comic panels, because he beginning of the turn when he's got no action tokens, he can assign a comic panel to himself. Removing, so it's similar to the word balloons, I imagine, that the previous Deadpool set had.
Yeah.
So it's obviously going to have, they're going to have some little funky effects on them that you can swap around exactly the same way as the word balloons. But he's a bit of a beast.
He's gonna be good. Does anyone think there's going to potentially be a rise of the monster keyword with Bizarro already out there? And maybe a couple more.
Well, you could carry, if you had a monster taxi, and you had, like, say, a couple of these guys, but I don't know any monsters that actually are good at carrying people around. I think that's because Venom Pool has only got his little sidestep, So you need some way of getting them into the action, really.
I'm pretty sure there will be somewhere in. I don't know if they avoid monster keyword, but maybe the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle sets. Maybe there's one of them that has monster amongst that can be of use. I suppose. I think that I'm not sure. I might be wrong. Do they all just have animal keyword instead?
Yeah,
They
I
call
think
it
a lot of
the
them,
various
yeah, I think a lot of
giant
them
evil
just have,
things.
I don't know. There's there's not a huge amount of like monsters with a lot of versatility, really.
Yeah, we'll put a pin in it. We'll see what comes out next, maybe.
Yeah.
But apart from that, there's just it has now been fully leaked. Everyone can see on HG Realms all of the dials for the TMNT Shredder Returns set. We promise you we're not going to bash on them anymore. That's it. We're done. I'm going to give one shout out that I really like the 200 point team that is just the 4 common brother to 4 turtles. It's not going to win anything mental, but the fact that they can all carry each other, if you have all of them in a nice square formation, they all get +1 to everything because they each give each other 1. That's these set ones, isn't it? I think they give +1 to fence. I think it's the common ones. I don't know. Maybe a mix and match of the two because they are the same. It's just that the fast forces ones I don't think are as. I think they're just slightly weaker versions than just the common ones. But
I think the common ones give like the bonus, it's like the Ninja Power Bro trait, where you got a unique modifier when they're adjacent to somebody else.
Specific one.
It's a different name, then you get +1 or something or other. Yeah.
So they all give an opposite number +1 defense. So if you have them all in a square, they corn together to get +1 defense, which is nice enough. They're all unique enough, despite still feeling like the turtles. They all have carry, so you'll be having Michelangelo sidestepping, carrying everyone across half the time. And I think they're they're a fun 200 point team. I'll probably pick them up with them only being commons. But we've all also challenged ourselves to fight each other to find our favourite power piece amongst there. So Sean, do you want to give us? I think you got the short straw and got picked last. So do you want to pick your favourite?
Well, I like nobody from this set. When I say that, I mean I like the figure nobody from the set. Although the first could probably stand as well. She's the rare 70.1 with hypersonic speed for but it's a special hypersonic speed that only allows it to make close attacks. She's got that in her first 3 clicks. She's only 5 clicks long. She has that in her first 3 with super strength to go along with that. And also a special leadership on her top 2 clicks that allows her to remove an action token from herself as well. Yeah, I mean, if I was forced to pick, which I was, I'd pick this one. I mean, she's got 2 of my favourite keywords in there with martial artist and robot as well.
Oh, I thought you were going to say purple dragon was your favourite keyword for a second.
Yeah, that's it's up there, but
I think
no, robot martial artist.
I think maybe a couple of the purple dragons might come up. I think some of the generic ones are really good for the points. Maybe they might sneak onto someone's team if they're playing like an unthemed one and just have some points left, and want something that isn't just Henry. Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean she's got 17 defense top click as well. You stick a relic on her for close combat expert.
Later on.
Sorry, combat reflexes. She gets close combat expert later on, but that knocks her up to a 19 defense with vulnerability. So yeah,
I agree. I quite like it. The super strength is the key thing for it, because I think if you're looking for that exact character, I think Speed Freak's a better version of her.
Yeah,
essentially exactly that. And the only reason you'd go for her instead is if you've got some sort of super strength obsession, or you want the keywords put in there.
Yeah,
I think I'll go next, because I think I drew I think I said I'll pick this guy, and Chris beat me to him, and I didn't realise.
Yeah.
So I went with the super rare Space Michelangelo. I think his numbers are solid. The 0G ninjutsu is a cool trait. Kind of having flight, don't take knockback damage, and if they're in hindering terrain or adjacent to blocking, not hindering terrain. If they're adjacent to a wall essentially, whether it's due to higher elevation or blocking, they get to get +1 attack and movement. So that means on his first click he's going to have a running shot with 7 squares to move, 11 attack for 5 range and probability control. He's not got anything great about it, like damage wise, or he's not got Psychic Blast or anything, but that's pretty cool. And then it's pretty solid for 35 points. And then his real shine is his trait. He has a Smoke Cloud as a free action, which is already great. We've seen that Storm did pretty well in the Sealed for Uncanny X-Men. And the Smoke Clouds give friendly characters that occupy them sidestep, which I think is amazing. And then just the standard TMNT keywords, your TMNT ally, martial artist, animal, but because the space turtles, this one gets cosmic as well. Any raise on that? Anything that anyone likes amongst that guy? Or we just grinding our teeth and picking?
Well, I think like the flight, it's always nice to have flight and then have the foot symbol. So you can obviously still carry
best
him
of both
over and
worlds.
still ignores it. Yeah, I mean they've all got that. They've all got the same trait, having the 0G ninjutsu.
Yeah,
Same on all the space ones.
It plays differently on various ones. I think the Donatello, I think he pulls the short straw on it because he hasn't actually got a move and attack ability, so his extra movement would only help if he's going to actually move. He obviously still gets the +1 attack if he's attacking someone, and that's nothing to be sniffed at, but I think he gets the short straw.
I think Donatello's been shafted on all of his. I've just had a quick look. I thought, why has Donatello got like a 10 attack? Why do they think Quake is as good as Penetrate and Flurry, and he's the same points? Why do they think Outwit is the best power that you can have?
I think it's hard.
I don't know. Yeah, because he's like, I like my scientists, but he's like so bad because sometimes in some of them compared to the others, and he's the same points.
I have a soft spot for Donatello in that he does machines.
He does machines.
He also gives Animal Man support and outwit, which he doesn't get from any other animal as far as I know. I've not had an in-depth look on it, but I have tried to play teams with Animal Man before, and was only restricted to 4 animals on the sideline to get the most out of it. And I think Donatello did creep on there. Won't eat any of the starter set ones because they come with that. He just has come with something a little bit unique amongst the animals. But yeah, they've clearly tried to go for. He is the turtle that doesn't fight as well as the other turtles. He has outwit and perplex.
They keep giving him a Quake, and it's just like, oh god, with a 10 attack. Just because he's got a big stick.
But back to Passion Turtles. So let's not get to go off that one.
Just
Space Turtles are awesome. Just Donatello isn't quite quite as awesome.
Yeah. Right, can I go on to my Space Turtle?
Yeah, go ahead. The best in the set, I think we can agree.
The best Space Turtle. Well, certainly the best Space Turtle in the set. This is Leonardo, the Super Rare, number 28. He has got a lot better stats than Donatello. He's got running shot, Psychic Blast with 11 attack, toughness 17 defense, and leadership with 3 damage. 7 range with that Psychic Blast, so
the same trait.
His second click is very pushable onto because he gets it's exactly the same, apart from he's got a 12 attack and 1 less movement, and still the same powers. But his best sort of the most competitive feature is his other trait, which is racing for the pieces of the black hole generator, which says when an opposing character would be equipped or begins the game equipped, you and that character's controller each roll 2d6 that can't be re-rolled. If your result is higher, remove that equipment from the game. So that is would you like to get rid of Proteus before anything else happens? Yes. You can. Would you like
Keep
to get
your
rid of
10-point Morlock?
Yeah, have that 10-point Morlock run around and I'm not going to kill myself now. Yeah. It's obviously slightly less than 50% because you do need to get higher than your opponent. So I think on a draw, the equipment stays.
They win.
Yeah, but it does. I think it might actually, if he sees play, it might actually make people think twice about using equipment. Certainly paying a lot of points, like Proteus, 35 points, and you do score victory points for if you remove things from the game. So that's a big, it's a big thing. 35 points. Just get there. You go. I've got 35 points to start the game, and you get rid of that counter
before you've even done anything else.
Yeah. It's hard to not see him as a piece that is. I think he's gonna see some play, isn't he? I mean,
hopefully, I think
he's 75 points.
Yeah, he's still even if without that trait, he's still worth his points really with that psychic blast with the 7 rate.
Just having him jump up, having him next to a wall, he's going to running shot 6 squares for a 7 range for a 12 attack psychic blast without any help from anyone else. On top of a trait that just changes, that can change the game. You can win the game really in the first couple of, well, before you even took the first turn. If you're playing, somebody with someone equipped on there, and just there you go. I've took your basically it's impervious off you for the whole game. That's just going to hurt like it's no one's business.
Yeah, I mean, I've made no bones about my feelings about the Turtles in the last few weeks, but even I quite like this figure. I never thought I'd say that, but yeah, I do quite like this.
Yeah, I think as well it might, if WizKids are moving away from resources and
it might drop off
into equipment, there might, these sorts of things might start appearing where it's either where people have traits that sort of counter equipment or things like that.
I mean, this could potentially screw over a Doctor Strange Midnight Suns team.
Yeah.
In one go, you've lost your stealth, and that's it.
Before you've done anything.
I'm 25 points up. You've lost your stealth against it, so you can't. You can have stealth.
You've wasted your Midnight Suns 4 points for that as well.
Wasted some points on that, and it's now. There you go. You've got stealth in your first click. Does anyone care? Probably not. I'm seeing him joining Quinjet teams. I think myself. I'd probably slot him into a little Quinjet team. We've talked about this before, that there is several 75-point really good figures, and after he's lost his first click, he still can then pop out someone good, and he doesn't have a bad click on his dial. Maybe his middle one's a bit waning, but I mean, once you look at that,
if you look at you could do stuff around using the teleporter, the round table, where if you didn't really like him in your game, you could put him on as sort of a counter to equipment, and then if you don't want to play him, you could then I'll just swap in, a different sort of 75-point figure.
She-Hulk
something or Hawkeye
or
whoever.
So many.
Yeah, because 75 points is a nice sort of point value.
But yeah, I think we can safely say that this is my favourite turtle set so far. We haven't
talked about the chasers either yet. Because I think some of those are could see a lot of them competitive play. With the free penetrating damage really.
I think my phrasing is I wouldn't hold my breath to see them in competitive. I think almost all of them are too expensive. If there was one that was say 60 points and had that trait, maybe. But I don't think any of them are solid enough to match up their points, even with the trait. I just don't see it.
Well, I think I like the tiny one, the mini shredder. Sorry, he is quite nice, mainly because he is tiny, and obviously he can get carried around a lot easier and get his free damage in.
It's 90 points though.
He's still got reasonable stats, and he's got 7 clicks of life. He's a monster.
He's got 11 clicks of life. Your dice comes back, doesn't he?
And that can't be ignored. I think there was one. What's the rare one? The Shredder clone. I think I like him. Apart from, you could pulse with him and kill him, and then he doesn't come back as a shock. That's another problem with him. He looks like, I'll come back as a shock shredder, but all the other guys, their sort of resurrection can't be ignored, but his can.
The
So that's a
problem I
bit
have
of a
with that
downside
is
for him.
that Shark Shredder, the fourth click on Shark Shredder is a bit rubbish. I wouldn't necessarily I couldn't necessarily be bothered putting him there. I don't know, maybe if you have the space on the sideline, it might be a point where if they've got loads of perplex, it's fun, but I don't see it being that great. I like I think I like every version of Rocksteady and Bebop in this set. There's 3. I think every single one of them is pretty good. The Fast Forces ones are cheap enough and can get some cool powers. The 50-point ones can become even bigger ones and stand out themselves, was pretty good. And the 70-point ones just have dials for days. They change halfway through to like support pieces and things, but I don't mind paying 70 points for that now and then.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of like maybe not hugely competitive pieces, but there's a lot of interesting
Fun.
pieces that you think, oh, I could squeeze that into a team, or you wouldn't mind playing it.
And I think this is probably might be my last word, isn't it? So if you guys want to have something else to say, throw it in there. But I think the only thing that's really stupid on it is the Shredder clone being unique. I don't think I can understand how a clone could be unique in any way, but that's me done.
Yeah, it kind of doesn't make sense, does it? But okay.
Yeah.
Well, if I was going to say, if we're done talking about the turtles, should we move on to the rules section now? So, Chris, if I hand over to you, do you want to cover?
Yeah, if I can find where I've written my things down. Yeah. Right, where are we? Okay. Yes, I'm going to try and make it relatively simple this time, as I bamboozled you last time.
Is there a quiz at the end of this?
I'm not sure. I might think of a really weird example, but anyway, no, I'll try not to. So this episode, I just want to briefly talk about first round immunity. If everybody knows, vague idea of what that is, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll briefly read it out. It's during the first round of the game, characters that have not been given an action, placed, or moved cannot be targeted by opposing characters, knocked back, attacked, or damaged, unless a game effect that does so specifically states that it occurs at the beginning of the game. I think it's fairly straightforward in that you have to, if you, your opponent cannot race down the board and smack you in the face on the first round unless you have been given an action, placed, or moved. I think the one thing that maybe catches people out is it's not optional, and it affects friendly characters as well. So you'll often see people playing things like Frogman, and if you're playing Frogman Mixie, Frogman cannot knock back Mixie until on the first round, unless Mixie has been given an action, placed, or moved, which a lot of people forget about. A lot of people forget that Morlock with Proteus in it, he does not roll for his trait to deal the Morlock damage at the first round unless he's been given an action, placed, or moved. Things like friendly mind control, things like that, you can't attack your own characters because the first round immunity will stop that as well. Anybody else think of any other examples where it affects your own characters?
Just on the Proteus one, do you not roll it and not take damage if he did succeed in doing it?
You could roll it if you want to, I think, but it has no effect whatsoever. Yes. Yeah. Unless you give him, like, say, a free action. You could say free action if you had sidestep or something somehow without getting any action, without sort of assigning a relic, or you could do a free TK with Jean Grey or something like that, and then it'd still be yes, because with the ruling last time, I'm not sure about that.
Michelangelo him, smoke cloud, give him sidestep, then he can kill himself.
So it's a free action. I'd have to check that with the new ruling because he'd have to.
Check the wording of it.
Anyway, it's very unlikely that you'll be able to pull it off. So most of the time, you're not going to be able to damage your own characters as well because a lot of
which is fine. I think for the Proti lock, I think everyone just walks forward and then next turn he
Yeah.
either dies or he pushes to kill himself.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
kick yourself. Yeah.
But it's important to remember things like Frogman. If you want to activate, even if you want to knock back, if you want to like say just knock somebody forward, you're not allowed to do it because his power like knocks back. The other thing to note is that they've extended the protection of first round immunity because it says they haven't changed the wording of it, but they've sort of interpreted it to mean more than it says. The wording says it can be targeted by opposing characters, knocked back, attacked, or damaged. They've actually, in some of the answers on the official forums, they've stated that no game effect may bypass first round immunity unless it specifically states that it does, or the effect occurs during the beginning of the game phase, or the effect specifically occurs during the player's first turn. So a good example of that is Faust, with his energy dampeners, which basically don't say targeting, they don't say knockback, attacked, or damage. They're basically just placing tokens on character cards.
But you still can't do it.
You still can't do it. There's no game effect. Basically, the answer is no game effect may bypass first round immunity.
Unless it specifies that it
specifies
bypasses
that
first
it
time.
does. Oh yeah, because there's some powers that say choose an opposing character at the beginning of the game. That obviously has to get past first round immunity, otherwise it would be absolutely pointless.
Yeah.
Any questions on that?
No, that is
Are you
the
happy with that?
straightest forward one we've had so far, and there's no quiz at the
Okay.
end.
Yeah.
No. Well, there's things. Okay, I'll quiz you.
You had to say.
Yeah, I had to
I
say it. I
know.
think. Okay, let's see if you get this one right. This is without looking on the forums because I think this was a question. Say you're playing with Bizarro Green Arrow. You're playing with Bizarro Green Arrow. And you have two characters, just one character, and then Bizarro Green Arrow. Your other character, does an action and is adjacent to Bizarro Green Arrow. Your opponent, this is the first turn, obviously. Bizarro Green Arrow does do no actions. Your opponent charges down the field and tries to shoot you. What happens? Does Bizarro Green Arrow's trait kick in, do you think? Can he get targeted?
I would say the first round of immunity. I was wrong last time, so I'll probably say it wrong again. I think the first round immunity would trigger so that he shouldn't be able to be targeted because he's not done an action yet. But his trait specifies that even if he's an illegal target, which I would assume overrides it.
Would be illegal. Yeah.
What do you think, Sean?
I would say the same. I would say usually it would be no because he hasn't been given an action, but his trait specifically says he becomes the legal of the target even if it would otherwise be illegal.
Does his trait say that it bypasses first round immunity? No game effect may bypass first round immunity unless it specifically states that it does.
So you can first. So if
So
you've
then-
got, say for example, Casey Flash carried on to Green Arrow. First turn, Casey Flash flies on the map, sets himself up. I, playing against it, manage somehow to get the character up far enough that I can now shoot the Flash. I can shoot the Flash. I can hurt the Flash, and Bizarro Green Arrow can do nothing about it.
Well,
Because-
only that would obviously not happen if Flash carried Bizarro Green Arrow, because then he's been the first round immunity specifically says it has not been given an action, placed or moved. So if Bizarro Green Arrow has just sat there and done nothing, and Flash has just gone, I'll just put a relic on me, for example, and then you manage. There's not many teams.
A 20 movement.
Yeah,
Fly
but
forward.
There are teams that can do that. You shoot the Flash, then the Bizarro Green Arrow's trait would not allow him to become a target because he has not been given an action, placed or moved during the first round. So you would be able to shoot the Flash.
So I am 2 for 2.
You
This
see,
quiz.
you should have
Yeah.
said you didn't. If you hadn't mentioned quizzes, then I wouldn't have given you one.
Yeah.
I know.
Here we go.
Right. Okay, that kind of does make sense. Although what threw me was the fact where his trait says even though it would be otherwise
But
Yeah,
illegal.
apparently
but
that doesn't matter
what
because
threw me.
that doesn't matter.
The
Because
trigger
first round
hasn't
immunity.
started.
It doesn't. Yeah, nothing.
Okay.
No game rule effect will bypass first round immunity. Great. I just want to add on the end for listeners is we've started doing companion videos to the Chris's rules section, which are now available on the YouTube channel. Some people may find it easier, me, to have something visual to help explain these rules. So if you haven't already, then take a visit to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the channel, like and comment on the videos. And also, if there's a ruling or power that you don't quite understand, then let us know, and maybe Chris can cover it in future episodes. Do you think?
Please
Yeah,
make them
if
up.
people. I mean, I know we're trying to get sort of community involvement, but we're just starting out. Not many people like our Facebook page. But if there is any questions you want to ask us, you want us to cover a particular topic, anything you can think of, please get in touch.
Great. Right. Team challenge time,
Yeah,
boys.
so this was me.
Dale, you picked this
I
week's figures,
did.
yeah?
I went with Night Lantern, and we actually talked about it afterwards because I'd had the original plan for this in my head before I'd called it. That I'd decided that the 90-point shifting Superman was probably the ideal focus for that one to go alongside him because he's a reasonable point figure. He has lots of options with his 4 versions, and all of them can happily take advantage of whatever he's assigned to. So after we've discussed it, I ended up going with Night Lantern, obviously, the Superman, starting with the number 1, the Bulletproof Superman. He is equipped and he has the Civil War storyline organised pack prize Cloak and Dagger attached. I think when we originally discussed it, the talk was to have Atomica, but I thought that if you were going to be that guy, I think I'd probably go with Pandora's Box, Wrath for Superman and Sloth for Night Lantern, with the Justice League team ability for +1 defense against Flyers, Sharpshooters, Indomitable, and Giants, and 2 ID cards. One was the 135 Green Arrow, although potentially you can pick other ones if you want, and the Black Canary I went with because I felt like I didn't have anything to stop Lex, or anything else for that matter. And the reason I went with Cloak and Dagger is because it gives Superman the choice on his first 3 clicks anyway of stealth, defend, and exploit weakness. And the super strength one would then potentially be doing 11 attack with a heavy object for 6 damage that would penetrate, or the 90-point bulletproof one will be giving 20 defense to Night Lantern before the 88 or the relic would assign in, and then the relic gives running shots or ability control most of the time. So that was me. It left me a couple 3 points spare, but there was nothing else to do with them as far as I could see. What did anyone else come out with? Or did anyone want to critique my team?
No, I think we'd had a chat about it last time, and I think because you're getting the most out of your amalgam if you can morph it, and you've got different sort of options for the different morph characters. So yeah, I do like that combination.
Yeah. Did you guys come up with anything interesting?
Yeah, it's a good one.
I shall go first then. Mine was not very exciting. I spent hours poring over the unit section, trying to come up with some broken combination, but I decided I'll just go with something themey. So I've gone for a Metropolis themed team, and we've got Night Lantern. I have picked a Superman that I love the stats of, but lacks any moving attack. So it is the Superman Wonder Woman number 1 Superman. The one who leaps buildings but doesn't fly.
Okay.
So he's 100 points. He has got a very good start. He's got 8 clicks. He's got a very good start and line of 11 movement, 11 attack, 18 with invincible, 4 damage. He's got super strength, but he's only got leap and climb. So I thought, well, most supermen need hypersonic, don't they? So there's a couple of options. I probably prefer there's a one Max what's it called? Max Mercury from the Flash 02. He gives him hypersonic for 2 or 3
1, 2, and then the last 2 clicks.
And he also gives the option of willpower as well, really. It's hypersonic or willpower, because Superman's missing both of them. So giving him hypersonic, he can carry an ultra heavy. So he's hitting for 11 attack, 7 damage on those 2 clicks. You can get willpower maybe to avoid having to push on a second click. If he takes a hit, he goes on to combat reflexes, more than likely, which sort of combos quite well with his close combat expert that he's going to get on clicks 4, 3, 4, and 5. Because most of the time you've got used your heavy objects in your hypersonic attacks, and you want him to bump his defense up, and you use his close combat expert, really. He's only got 7 clicks, and that Superman's got 8, so unfortunately, but there's very few. There was no characters who had 8 clicks and hypersonic on the first couple who were sort of less points than that Superman. So Superman and Night Lantern. I mean, the other option, there was another that hypersonic Superman from the Morphin ones. He was like 90 points. He had hypersonic like first 5 clicks or so, and you could alter between like hypersonic or super senses. So he was the other option if you didn't like the Max Mercury. Again, he was only 7 clicks long though. So Superman and Night Lantern, obviously with the amalgam left me 25 points if I was going for a 300 point team, and the best 25 points he can spend on a Metropolis team is Jimmy Olsen, who has Perplex. Obviously it's a theme team, so he can be giving you theme team probs. He also combos a little bit with Superman because he's got a trait that can sort of move Superman around, make him adjacent. It is quite a few hoops to jump through to be able to do that though, but it could come up. And he can also turn off people's shape change and super senses if he gets close enough to them at the beginning of the turn, which is nothing to be sniffed at. So that is me, 300 point Metropolis theme team.
Well, I was quite pleased that you picked Night Lantern actually, because I didn't put much thought into this team because it's a team I've actually played before.
That's cheating.
And it was obviously Night Lantern, 150 points, with Nick Fury as his little runaround buddy, with the 85 point monthly OP Flash to give Nick Fury hypersonic speed or precision strike or super senses, and that left me with 5 points over. And so you can never have too many Nick Furies on the team, can you? So let's add a Shield level 7 ID with another Nick Fury on there. I've played a variation of this team, but without the Shield level 7 ID, and yeah, it's probably not my finest moment playing like in a casual day, but it was fun for me. So so that's the option I did. I mean, he gets that Flash has hypersonic on his first 3 clicks, and then he drops the charge with super senses on his first 3 clicks, and combat reflexes on his last 3. So yeah, that was mine. It was a no-brainer for me because I've played it before, and
it's rough.
It did me good. Yeah,
it's hard to argue with that. It is a horrible little combo. There you go. So if you've come up with any interesting Night Lantern combos, I'd like to see someone play them, because he's just too many points, isn't he?
I would like to see instead of like giving Nick hypersonic, I think I would like to give him run and shot and outwit. I would like, because it's Nick with outwit plus his power. Would that be? I'll just stick with 2 of your powers.
Stand there.
Yeah.
Stand there.
I mean, this Flash I use gets outwit on his
Straight
third click
yeah.
and hypersonic or precision strike or super senses. So
I think running shot is probably about the same range, isn't it? Because then you've got a half your range for give you a little bit more mobility. But there's probably like a few options. There is a few options if you wanted to give like either running shot, or outwit or something. There's a Karai 80 points from a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle set. Has running shot, precision strike, energy shield, or outwit. They're all nice little options for him.
Yeah.
Anything you give to Nick Fury on top of what he's already got, it just makes him even worse. Though.
Yeah.
That's why he's Nick Fury. That's
why
he does. Horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. There's my thing. So the next bit. Oh no, we have Chris to pick and the next character.
Yeah,
you know what? I forgot to plan
pick
this.
Someone.
No, I'm gonna pick because I feel that he's been let down. I need you to make a team for Donatello.
any Donatello.
Any Donatello, right? There's quite a few of Donatellos because I do feel that they've given him a bit of the short straw. So let's see if you could make Donatello into sort of a decent team around him.
I think you have a secret obsession with the Turtles. I'm sure the last time you picked one for us to do a team challenge was Pizza Face.
But he's not part of the Turtles, so he's an enemy of the Turtles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, right, so Donatello.
Yeah. He doesn't have to be... Obviously,
Challenge
you can do
accepted.
what you like with him. He's got Scientist, which I'd probably be looking at. But yeah, you can try and theme him. That would obviously be nice. Okay.
And any
Donatello.
yeah?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's actually 8 Donatellos, believe it or not.
That's not even including the ones from Shredder's Return, is it? I think it's missing.
Yeah, it might be missing another one.
I think it's
9
missing.
Donatellos. There's the Fast Forces one. There'll be 10 Donatellos.
No, which is about 10 too many.
How long do I have to wait before I can get Power Ranger Clix instead of this rubbish? What? That's what I want.
You're starting again in the Turtles.
No, I'm not. I have nostalgia morph elsewhere.
No,
but yeah, so I think from there, once we've fought with the Donatello to figure a team, it's on to Sean. You had something to do on your tactics this week.
Yeah. This is the part of the show that we usually talk about tactics. What I wanted to talk about this week were figures or game elements that you might not think is very good currently, but could be massively overpowered tomorrow. So what I mean by this is like, we'll take Pandora's Box for example. When that resource first came out, I think it's safe to say that the majority of people didn't think it was very good. I know I didn't. Bear in mind this was around the time when we still had the power batteries, and we all know how overpowered the power batteries were, so compared to them, it wasn't anywhere near as good. Then they rotate out and suddenly there's nothing else really viable to play, so it gets more play. What I'm trying to say is, like, don't ever rule anything out, because, you know, just because a piece comes out and seems weak, something else may come out in a feature set that kind of makes it like the must play thing. Like recently we've seen more use of green light from Superman Wonder Woman. I don't think there were, well, I'm not aware of any teams that used it before we started getting all these POG generators and the low point figures from Joker's Wild. Obviously green light has that trait that gives characters 40 points or less toughness and flight. So with all of the new cheap point pieces coming out now, he's obviously getting more play, and he goes from having a good trait to potentially being insanely good. And you know, like, just because a piece comes out that doesn't immediately go into your meta toolbox doesn't mean that you should ever rule it out or never play it at all. So whenever a new set comes out, it's always worth revisiting old pieces that you might have previously kind of discounted, because although they may appear bad today, they could be overpowered tomorrow. I don't know. I mean, and then like with the potential of a rotation when World's Finest rotates, then like the only ID cards that are going to be left are potentially the Connolly ones. So they may see more play, especially if new figures come out that kind of make them the must-play thing. I mean, there's a new Plastic Man Connolly being advertised. Nobody knows what he's going to do yet. Could that be the piece that makes the ID card a must-play thing?
Spoiler alert, no.
I
haven't, but we've never had a good Plastic Man.
Well, the inspiration
well.
on the card is very good. So it's just if there is a half decent figure, especially if the one resource is going to be the teleporter, and then you're going to be giving it up. Yeah, you get a power 2, and suddenly you give it a plasticity and shape change. You're giving that to all your characters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's pretty good. So if there's a half decent Plastic Man, because I was thinking about playing him.
But I mean,
playing that 70.1 just for the inspiration, but
right. I mean, once World's Finest rotates out, the only resources that are going to be legal, well, the only ID cards and resources are going to be Connolly ones potentially. There doesn't seem to be any suggestion of any other resources being released. It all seems to be leaning towards special objects.
The Connolly ones, are they attached to the World's Finest set or not, or do they have like different?
The Connolly ones have a different set altogether.
So
So
I didn't know.
So you're going to be left with like Supreme Intelligence, Punisher Van, and the Connolly cards. And with them being Connolly, they're always going to be around that little bit longer anyway.
Yeah, I think they get twice as long.
Yeah. Well, even more than that, because we've still got 2013 like convention exclusive figures that are modern. So that's like 4 years. Well, it might be. Hopefully, they'll be rotating this year, but that's just like Tsushima and Batmite and stuff. You're still gonna have things like Resurrection Man. I think it was 2014, so you still be around for one.
Oh God, please take Resurrection Man into the night and put a pair in the dark alley and put him to sleep.
Well, I think the likes of I'm going off on a slightly tangent now, but yeah. Anyway, I've got some examples if you want, Sean, just to assist your point.
Chip in.
Couple of things really. I mean, one of them is the figure that I think in the Joker's Wild set is going to change the meta in inverted commas the most is Bizarro Green Arrow, and he suddenly he's made a lot of figures, in my opinion anyway, potentially viable. I know we've briefly mentioned Schumer, and I've played him a little bit because I think from all accounts there was quite a few Schumer Bizarro Green Arrow teams being played over the weekend at various WKOs in the States generally anyway. I don't think they didn't win any of them, but it is a pretty good team, and I think I've been looking at quite a few of the figures along that lines, where I've not played them before and I've never really thought about them because I just think no, they're not good enough.
Well, Schumer's a good example because again before my time, but he was played quite a bit when was it Moleman?
Yeah, him and Moleman and the Book of Skulls was just the number one team really. And
then Moleman and Book of Skulls retired, and he just seemed to disappear. Yeah. He wasn't played because he wasn't as useful as he was when they were around. But as you say now that Green Arrow's out, Bizarro Green Arrow, then he's going to see more
so I think there's a lot of like other figures along that lines where the high points you're looking at, but you think they'll just die to Nick Fury or the likes of, because Bizarro Green Arrow protects you from range attack, it protects you from pulse wave as well. So because you would have to then multi-target pulse wave to basically get around his trait. So anybody with like sort of stacked defense, if you've got like shape change, super senses, and impervious stacking, that no one's gonna like a single target pulse wave to get around that. So there is got. I don't know, I've got a list of figures that I'm thinking. Oh, I like to play him with Zargrana. Oh, I think he's going to work well with him. So another figure that I've been looking at from the Flash set is Turtle, because I like my Mixie, and I have been playing him with Frogman. I mean, this sort of combo has been out for a while, really, but I've never really thought about it. Turtle works extremely well with Mr. Heroclix, basically because you can get the 2 tokens with Turtle, and then do like the free action move and damage Mixie onto a second click that way, which is
despicable.
and people have been playing Frogman for like 35 points. Turtle's like 15 points more, but
Cripples the other team.
Yeah, and Frogman doesn't really do much apart from annoy people a little bit and activate Mixie. So if you're playing a slightly more expensive figure, but it has a much greater effect on your opposing team. So yeah, it's worth revisiting. It's worth going back through old sets. And don't just think about things with the new hotness. Especially when new figures come out. Especially figures like Bizarre Green Arrow, which can sort of give you a lot of protection for your previously squishy team.
Yeah, so yeah, it was just a brief segment this week, but that's the point I was trying to make. Just because something may appear bad today, it can be overpowered tomorrow, depending on what else gets released. So that's me done. Yeah. So that's all I wanted to say about that, really. I mean, also about the I briefly mentioned how the trend seems to be leaning towards special objects, and you never know what's going to get released in the future in terms of special objects, and that you might want to add onto a team. And I know I'm guilty of this. I never really, when I'm building teams, I never really look at what special objects there are. Weapon drop, symbiote, web shooter, whatever. I'm guilty of discounting them. But in the absence of anything else, then it may be worth revisiting.
I think the symbiote is probably top of the most likely to be used. I think in my head, maybe the Harley's hammer.
But you can play more than one object as well, depending upon if they're light and heavy or mobile and things like that. So you could, Pimp's Particles, Weapon Drop, Symbiote. If you can't play resources, then you've got some points left over.
And obviously we forgot to mention
Batman Surfboard. Yeah,
Batman Surfboard. Yeah. Actually, it just there's talks about new weapons coming out we forgot to mention it in the news section in the announcement of the new Thor set that's coming out in August. And there's weapons going to be included in that. Perhaps we'll maybe mention it more in the next podcast. But yeah, so you never know what's around the corner, do you? So
next time you see a new set come out, just make sure you have a quick look through. Think, does this work with trigger? Make something I used to have it in my box gathering dust useful.
Does this have any synergy with any of my pieces that I've just discarded?
Yeah. That's the thing for it.
Yeah, so that's all I wanted to really say about that. I think we've drawn down long enough. I think now I don't know if you guys have got anything else that you want to add, or
I think that's it for me.
Maybe just wrap it.
Just to say that we will be attending hopefully the Birmingham WizKids Open before our next episode.
Yes.
Is that right? When's that on? Is that like a week on Saturday?
It's a week on Saturday. Yes, it will be before next episode. Yeah.
So I don't know if you're coming down, Dale.
I wasn't aware of it, but I think I can. Is it a Saturday?
It's a Saturday.
I think
I might
Saturday. Have to try.
Yeah. We'll give you the
will
details
discuss.
after this. Yeah. I can swing back and pick you up if you want.
Yeah, but
if there's room in the car.
Although I haven't bought tickets yet, so
we better get doing that quickly. Yeah,
we'll get onto that tomorrow. Yeah. Right, well, great. Just before we end the show, I just want to remind people again that we have a YouTube channel and of course a Facebook page. www.facebook.com/Agents of Clix. We're also on Twitter @Agents of Clix, and we also have a website, www.agentsofclix.co.uk. Hopefully, I'm saying this sort of as a question, but also as a statement, we'll be posting some articles in the future.
Well, we could try and
maybe?
we'll get that Birmingham trip written up. Do you think if we go down, one of
Yeah.
us or two of us or
Yeah,
even three
yeah,
of us,
yeah.
we can all contribute. Yeah, I mean we might. Yeah, I think we were looking at other sort of content, as and when we can think of something interesting.
Great. So, pay us a visit on the YouTube page and subscribe if you haven't already. And if there are any teams that you'd like to see us play, or matchups that you want, or any topics that you want to hear us discuss on the podcast, then get in touch either over Facebook, Twitter, or even if you just leave a comment on one of the videos, and we'll do our best to accommodate. So unless anyone has anything else they'd like to mention,
No, I think that's it from me.
then well, that's all from us, guys. So until next time, bye.
Bye.